Bora iniciar um joguinho aqui esquisito, mano. Bom, pra quem não me conhece, eu sou o Jeffrey, né? E vamos jogar essa bodega aqui, ó. The Stanley Parable. O Parábolo de Stanley. Eu já joguei isso aqui uma vez e, mano, é bizarro. Vocês vão entender o porquê, tá ligado? Vou aumentar um pouquinho aqui o volume. Tô tentando fazer aqui essa live aqui no YouTube e no TikTok. Aqui basicamente eu tive que, logo no início,
This is the
colocar o horário
story of a
certo.
man named Stanley.
Essa é a história de um cara chamado
Stanley worked
Stanley.
for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-eating, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Olha, aqui já sou eu que estou controlando. Tipo, basicamente, não sei se pra quem tá vendo aqui pelo TikTok conseguiu ver. Eu recebo ordens que chegam aqui no monitor, certo? Para fazer as coisas, só que não chegou nenhuma hoje. Então agora eu vou ter que dar uma bisbilhotada por aí. E conforme eu vou andando, o locutor vai dizendo o que vai ser, o que é para ser feito. Deixa eu ver aqui um bagulho rapidão. Aqui. Não, deixa assim.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Mano, tipo, no resumo aqui, o cara falou que os amigos do Stanley foram todos embora. E não importa o que a gente procure, a gente não vai achar nada. Bem que o locutor dita o que a gente vai fazer. Consegui desligar ali. Ó, o número da nossa... Não dá pra ir.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story in any way.
Basicamente é a mesma coisa. Vou desligar aqui. Desliguei. Certo? 424, aqui tá desligado. Aqui também. Também. Essas portas não dá para abrir.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Aqui ele falou que tipo, a gente chegou aqui e tal, e no resumo a gente foi para a esquerda. Só que se liga, ó. Aqui não tem mais nada. A porta ali fechou e tal. Eu vou para a direita, ó.
This was not the correct way to the
Esse não era o
meeting
caminho
room,
certo para a
and
sala de
Stanley knew
reunião e
perfectly
Stanley
well.
sabia muito bem
Perhaps
disso.
he wanted to stop by the employee
Talvez
lounge
queria dar uma
first,
passadinha
just
na
to
sala dos
admire it.
funcionários para admirá-la. Computador aberto, ligado.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Falou que é uma sala bonita e a
But
gente ficou ali
eager to
olhando,
get
resolve.
back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ele meio que mandou a gente entrar na primeira porta à esquerda. Eu vou fazer a primeira seguindo exatamente o que ele fala.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
A gente vai para essa porta.
Yet there was not a single person here
Não
either.
tem ninguém aqui e
Feeling a
tal.
wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Procurar a sala do chefe. Não lembro se é para cima ou para
Coming
baixo.
to a staircase, Stanley walked
Aí ele subiu.
upstairs to his boss's office.
Quando a gente subir, aí pode crer. Because balls. Bom, meu inglês é muito ruim. Não vou conseguir ler mesmo. Mano, a revista Extreme Bad Rooms. Nossa. Vamos para chegar aqui na sala do chefe.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
28.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Tô fazendo exatamente tudo que o locutor tá falando. Só para vocês entenderem. Legal, né? Apertei para cima, o bagulho tá indo para baixo. Carregando.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley
walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Se liga, aqui bagulho de controle mental, né? Sala de controle mental. Seria para mim ir reto, só que aqui é o que tem escrito Escape. Mas nessa eu vou fazer exatamente o que o cara tá falando. Foi por aqui.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
É, um escritóriozinho monótono. É um bagulho bizarro.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building. Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
A gente consegue, no caso, conseguiria ver todas as salas. As mesas, aliás.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Agora, o que eu tenho que fazer aqui? Range controls, auto waiting, input. Sei lá que porra é essa. Console desabre. Número 2. 2. Não dá para subir. Também não tá. 3. O 4 tá lá em cima, mas não dá para subir, né? A gente vem para esta sala.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control?
Holy shit!
Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation?
Detonadores nucleares, tá certo.
Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine.
Porra, tem que fazer aqui,
I'm
bicho.
going to destroy it first, so you can't.
Goodbye, employer.
Take a look at the clock.
427.
That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here. Just you being blown to pieces.
Acho que deu rei pra nós, hein?
To your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me. All a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we feel it until the moment I say, happily ever up.
Loading. Literalmente, a gente tá aqui de novo. Fiz tudo que o cara mandou.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
O contrário do que ele havia pedido. Já tá diferente, não tá?
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his
Eu vou
left.
pra direita.
This
Não,
was not
fui na
the
direita
correct way to
também,
the
mas eu
meeting room,
dei a
and
volta.
Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Mas não entrar na primeira esquerda. Não vou.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago. Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm
Não,
asking
literalmente
for
o cara
her.
pediu pra gente parar de tomar as decisões
This is it,
sozinhos.
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself.
Essa é a chance de
To
nos
put your
redimirmos.
work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
Mano, tem um glitch, pelo que eu fiquei sabendo desse jogo. Se você começar, acho que tem um determinado dia, começar perto da meia-noite, aí você, tipo, vira a noite jogando, e deixar o dia inteiro o bagulho rodando, ele tem um glitch, tá ligado? Não sei o que que acontece.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this.
Atendendo. Vocês viram que eu comecei já diferente, né?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha! Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my
Não dá pra
story
passar,
now.
velho.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Mano, vocês podem reparar que o cara já tá ficando puto com a gente. Bom dia, funcionário 427. Pressione triângulo.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Pô, o maluco tá me tirando, hein?
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to
Que
do.
filha da puta,
Now
velho.
he's pushing a button.
Ai,
Now
caramba.
he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life. But in his mind, in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his
Salve,
desk,
Renatão.
Stanley
Mano, esse
dreamed of
jogo
wild
aqui é
expeditions
brisa
into
demais,
the
velho.
unknown. Fantastic
É
discoveries
retardado o
of new
bagulho.
lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Basicamente assim, o cara... Cadê a TV? Não tem TV?
And so he began to fantasize about his own job.
A
First,
gente tem que
imagine
fazer
that one
exatamente
day
o que
at
o
work,
narrador
he stepped
fala.
up from his desk to realize
Só que
that
se a
all
gente
his
fizer
coworkers, his
o
boss,
oposto do que ele
everyone
manda,
in the building had
ele meio
suddenly
que vai
vanished
esculachando a
off the
gente e vai
face
mudando
of the
tudo, tá
earth.
ligado?
The thought excited him terribly.
Mano. Se eu não apertar nada.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too
Mano,
wonderful
pesado.
to
Essa
believe.
brisa aqui é bizarra, velho.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and
Literalmente,
destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round
o locutor tá
room with monitors and
mandando a gente fazer o que ele quer.
controls. And
Olha,
down
já até
another was a
mudou aqui,
yellow
mano, sem
line
perceber.
waved in many
Era uma
directions.
cozinha.
And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the
Esse
Stanley
jogo é
Parable.
bizarro, velho. Mano, por favor, pressione X pra contar a história pros seus filhos.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer.
Oxi,
How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
apertar agora pra cima pra poder
And
dormir.
I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Ó, agora quando pedir pra apertar, eu não apertar. Aí, eu vou apertar só pra fazer o contrário.
Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill
No
himself?
começo.
How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
E se eu não apertar nada? Será que eu vou ter que apertar?
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again. And
Por favor,
Stanley
morra.
pushed a
As
button.
ideias, velho.
And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
Aí, quer ver? Ó, vai iniciar de novo daquela parte do começo. Ó, que bizarro. Ó, de novo aqui. Tá tudo certinho. Ó a brisa.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Ele vai
What
falar a
could it
mesma
mean?
coisa.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mesmo jeito. Tá. Opa, aqui, ó. Já tem porta nova.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Ops. Agora lascou. Tudo escuro. Essa parte eu não me recordava, não. Já foi diferente da última vez que eu joguei. Se liga. Olá, obrigado por jogar The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. Como você deve saber, Stanley Parable é um jogo de videogame lançado em 2013 para computadores domésticos. Depois de lograr o sucesso de crítica comercial, ele ganha uma expansão em 2022 Ultra Deluxe.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
Aqui literalmente fala que a gente tá no jogo, tá ligado?
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
E aí? Vai subir, vai descer.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it. I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see it. The jump circle?
The Jump Circle. Agora ele pula. Mas do lado de fora ele não pula. Tá aqui, ó. Que brisa do caralho é essa, velho?
Is that it?
A pessoa que criou esse jogo aqui, né, não bate bem das ideias, não. Ah, faz o elevador.
Goodness, another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count to 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And every... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Vou assim então mesmo.
That's it?
Obrigado por jogar o novo conteúdo.
This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks, just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Quer ver? Começar. Aí, ó. De novo, velho. Só que, ó, se liga. Agora eu já tô na outra parte.
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Vou nada.
Oh. You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who
Aí se liga, mesmo lugar. Vamos ver aqui uma parada. Ó, novo conteúdo. Não dá.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
Vou
he
pra
entered the
esquerda
door
agora.
on his left.
Só que as outras eu vou fazer ao contrário, tá vendo? Ah, pera aí. Ai, caralho, eu não queria vir aqui, velho. Ah. Puta que pariu, que merda.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Tem nada aqui que eu possa pegar?
There was nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. "I'm dreaming!" he yelled. "This is all a dream." Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay. Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What the fuck?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't.
Essa parte eu nunca tinha chegado, não, hein?
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career.
Rapaz, esse bicho fala demais,
the
bicho.
rest of her life. She
Podia resumir pouco mais, né?
So it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Onde estamos?
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Mano, esse jogo aqui é bizarro demais, velho.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look. I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the
Isso
waste.
aqui foi os prêmios que esse jogo ganhou, velho. Oito e 13, se eu não me engano, esse aqui foi o horário que eu tinha colocado. Eu comecei. Good times. Terceira parábola, demonstração. Triptão, Memory Lane. Triptão, não sei o que significa. Memory Lane, acho que é linha de memória. Smiley because happy. A nota de $1. Go outside, don't play for 5 years. Go outside é lá para fora, não tem jogadores há 5 anos, sei lá. Impossível, não, sei lá, é muito complicado essas palavras. New video game released today. The New York Times. Creators surprising down to earth. Los Angeles Times, Stanley Parable, Deus Don't Choice. Vamos ver se ele quer. Caramba, não tinha chegado nessa parte aqui não, velho. Oxi, olha.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "We're so many
Se
games
realmente isso
that
aqui
aspire
for
to be
verdade, ele
more than
ganhou
games end up less than
um
anything
prêmio
vault.
Fantástico
Stanley
Arcade
Parable
2013,
strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created.
EDF
Did you hear that,
2013,
Stanley?
narrativa,
Every
excelente
game ever
narrativa.
created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Abre. Original, tempo para baixo. Memória zone. Zona de memória. You are playing the Stanley Parable. Person of the Year. Mano, é como se tipo tivesse mostrando a criação do jogo, tá ligado? Que bizarro, mano. Nas partes que eu joguei, tipo, o bagulho tava um loop infinito, mano. Não tava terminando, tipo, tava bizarro. Literally anything.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation, boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Abre a porta.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again.
Será que a gente tem que ir lá pra baixo? É.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I
Caracas.
haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Mano, que brisa do caramba é essa, velho?
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy, honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
Eu nem sabia que tinha tudo isso no jogo, velho. Olha. Por mais que seja mecânica simples, é interessante.
You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I don't feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really true. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week.
Quero pular uma semana no bagulho.
I've been sitting here all...
Pular de novo. Vamos lá.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for
Ainda não
one
tem
entire
nenhuma
year?
saída
Let me
aqui.
describe it for you.
Que
To
bagulho
begin
doido.
with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
Apertar de novo. Ele desistiu de falar? Ó, o bagulho caiu aqui. Acho que a gente tem que apertar mais uma vez.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make...
Pulei de novo. Será que o narrador ficou bravo agora?
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Que brisa é essa, velho? Agora não vai sair mais daqui, não. Eita, pega. Quebrou a bagaça toda. Vamos ver. Opa, tem só um lá em cima. Consigo subir? Olha o bagulho. Será que ela vai ficar isso daqui agora o resto da vida? Mais um. Opa! Deixa eu ver se apareceu aqui. A gente tem que sair. Doido. Oxi, apagou tudo. Ih, qual que é a fita? Oxi. Eu, hein?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it
Porque
mean?
esse jogo é de dois, não
Stanley
é?
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mano, e agora? Ah, mano. The new content. O novo conteúdo. E aí, qual que eu vou? Se eu entrar aqui, essa porta vai se fechar.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show
Vou pelo
you.
outro lado, já que ele falou isso.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Vou seguir aqui o que ele tava pedindo, pra gente fazer um negócio.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Tá quanto tempo de live aqui nesse negócio? Quase uma hora.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind
Centro de controle
Control
mental
Facility.
e escape. Vamos por aqui.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn
A
around
porta nem
and get
fechou
back
dessa
on
vez, vocês
track.
viram?
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Ter a opção de voltar pra lá, mas vamos cair aqui.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Eita, pega.
Stanley para.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Portas no momento certo. As duas portas. Tá aqui aquela parte que a gente encontrava que ele mandava ir pela porta da esquerda. É o escritório do Stanley. Porta do escritório. Caraca, mano, que brisa. Olha. Armário de arquivos. 10203. Escritório. Deixa eu ver o que tem para esse lado aqui. Escritório do chefe. Final da liberdade. Elevador da sala de monitores. Sala de contagem agressiva. Foi certo, foi certo, foi 7. E-mails para o narrador. Ai, caralho. O que será que vai acontecer nos 3 segundos? Ah, tá. Sala de reunião. Finalzinho. A captura de tela mostra uma versão inicial do final conhecido como finalzinho, que acabou sendo cortado e mesclado toda a parte do jogo. Ok. Vamos pro finalzinho. Trailers. Exit. É a saída.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
Stanley parável. Ligado e desligado. Será que a gente tem que apertar essa bagaça aqui? Se não era apertar.
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game.
Se liga, desliga seu PlayStation na última da de vencer.
Stop now and it'll be your
Que brisa.
own choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Começamos de novo, será? Ai, caramba.
Just a step through this door, Stanley thought to himself. That's all I need. If I can make it through this door, I can make it through them all.
Que bagulho de doido.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Aqui, vai, vamos ver. Só ver o que vai acontecer aqui. Eu vou finalizar essa bagaça. Porque não... Esse jogo tem fim não, velho. Você tá maluco.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Oxi.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
O botão diz o nome do jogador que está jogando. E... your name, the game.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button, which states the name... Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love.
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button. Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age, surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Tá, e agora? Vou tentar apertar aquele botão de novo para ver. Aqui tem duas portas.
What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again. Do it again.
Aí de novo, velho.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Tá, o que eu tenho que fazer agora? Tem uma porta aberta? Ah, tem duas. Ele podia correr, né? Ajudaria bastante ele correr, mas...
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, yes, it would go at the end of the... well, we'll figure that out later.
Tem aqui. Buraco infinito, campeão mundial de configurações, troféu grátis. Eu vou lá pra cima. Só de buraco infinito, sei lá. Campeão mundial. Ah, já vi que não dá, né? Muito obrigado. Saída. Deixa eu ver aqui o negócio. Tá marcando saída. Vamos ver se vai ser mesmo.
Oh, goodness. Stanley, this is very awkward. I hate to do this, but before you leave, you really should go to both the exhibits for the bucket and the collectibles. You see, there's a surprise I was going to spring on you later, and it involves both of them. And I really do hate to break the illusion, but it's important that you go see the collectibles and the bucket, okay? You know what, Stanley? I actually think the jump circle was a pretty good idea. I'd like to hang on to that for the sequel.
Acabei com salto. Dois screenshots.
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game.
Então, bagulho,
This is
dá pra se jogar
a
lá?
hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite
hole.
falling. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward. Now, I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top.
Tá, e se eu não quiser usar essa
Do it on the
bagaça?
sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley. I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so clever. Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem.
Nossa, it's very close.
Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the whole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready.
Tá, e se eu demorar um pouco mais aqui, será que dá bom? Essa porra não vai ter fim, não, velho.
Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
Monster Infinite Hole. Tá, não vou tentar só mais alguma coisa aqui pra ver. Se não tiver jeito, eu vou finalizar essa live, porque esse jogo não tem final não, velho. Essa bagaça. Você tá doido. Free Trophy.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the
Test
trophy.
trophy, okay.
You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will... Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
Fui trollado. Ali não dá pra gente entrar, então... Será que eu consigo ir pro final agora? Ou ele não vai deixar?
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet? Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Pegamos o Stanley. Beleza.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game, and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
Mano, esse bagulho não tem fim, véi.
No? You're just going to ignore my advice? Fine. No fun new content for you, then. You're the one who spent money on this
No
game.
screenshots, please.
So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, Insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game.
Esse negócio é um loop
Would it possibly
infinito,
work?
bicho.
I suppose it could, but it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A
Ele não
title
resume
screen
não essa
with
bagaça.
bold and uncompromising conviction. This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Oxi. Stanley Parable 2. Ixi, que brisa do cacete é essa, velho?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ó.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
New Country. Return to Stanley. Ah, tá, não quero ir pra lá, não. E as duas
When
portas.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
Infinito
just to
doido
admire
é
it.
esse, velho.
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my
Cela da
mistake.
mãe.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Bagulho de doido, velho.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Mano, esse bagulho de doido, bicho.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Meu Deus do céu.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Aqui já tá fechado.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh.
Agora tem
Everything
ele
should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Eita, pô, agora abriu foi tudo nessa bagaça, velho. Aqui não foi, velho.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not? All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything? Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story.
Se liga, agora ficou tudo mais bugado ainda.
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Que brisa, velho.
Now this...
bagulho
Well,
de
I'll be honest,
doido.
I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay? I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Vou seguir a linha.
No, I'm down. We're leaving it up to the line from now on.
Não tem jeito não, tem que seguir a linha mesmo.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay, now if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Tá pega, velho. Volume alto.
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything. Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of... Oh,
Chegamos aqui de
not
novo.
again, Line. How could you have done this to us?
Que
And after
bagulho
we
de
trusted
doido.
you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Começar do começo de novo, bicho.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold on, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing. Wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we...
Só jogar essa partezinha e vou finalizar aqui, velho, porque ô joguinho doido.
Will something happen? So,
Tá, e agora?
okay. I guess now we just wait, you know. I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
Bugou. Iniciou de novo, quer ver? Oh,
A soft
joguinho de
wind blew outside and
retardador.
perhaps rain started, and if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ah, na moral,
This
velho.
was not the correct way to the meeting room, and
Vou ficar mais
Stanley
um
knew it
pouquinho aqui e vou
perfectly
finalizar
well.
essa bagaça.
Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded. butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago. Look, Stanley, I think... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Mano, eu vou finalizar essa bagaça por aqui, velho.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Loop infinito. Ah, poxa. Finalizar por aqui, mano. Valeu quem assistiu, tamo junto. Até mais e fui.